Senator Matt Canavan and Labor MP Ed Husic. Welcome to both of you. Let's just start with the weekend protests and the protests right now today as well. There are protesters gathering outside the Perth headquarters of mining giant Rio Tinto. That, of course, follows the Black Lives Matter protests. Clearly, there's really strong emotion about the destruction of historical Aboriginal culture, but also the incarceration rates. Matt Canavan, do you have some sympathy for the kind of issues people are raising at these demonstrations?
Well, look, I always respect people's right to raise their opinions. I must say I sometimes struggle to see exactly what the policy responses are, seemingly in the US, which these protests are inspired by. Apparently, the policy response is to defund the police. I mean, I think this is just crazy and ridiculous, but that seems to be getting some serious support from senior politicians in the US. So hopefully that won't come here. Yes, of course, I'm concerned about incarceration rates, and it's great to see the government looking to set goals on those things. But with those, it's great to set a goal in life, but it's always the doing of it that's the tough thing. And the tough thing here is taking away the root causes of why there is a propensity for particularly young Indigenous males to resort to crime. It's a very, very difficult issue, and just saying we want to do something about it is not going to fix it alone. No,
it doesn't fix it, but Ed Husic, it's kind of the beginning, isn't it?
Well, I just want to be very careful. I mean, in these discussions, I don't think Matt's suggesting this, but there isn't necessarily a propensity or an eagerness for young Aboriginals to commit crime more than other people. I think, and we need to step through this very carefully, because I see this in terms of incarceration as a bigger issue about, well, what's going on? We should take the chance to look deeply as to why is it that this is happening. I don't necessarily believe it's just a case that young Aboriginal men in particular lean more towards crime. How is what's happening occurring? I mean, the problem that we have here is we don't see Aboriginal Australians get jobs quicker or, get, in terms of prosperity, achieve that faster or live longer lives. Everything we see largely is not working right. We see young Aboriginal children die faster, we see Aboriginal people die faster, and we see them jailed faster. And, what's happening, while I understand there are a lot of people that are concerned about the impact from a health perspective of large gatherings, nothing is going to change unless we make people look at uncomfortable issues. This might be tough to see. It's even harder to live through for Aboriginal Australians, and we do need to ask ourselves why this is happening, and why is it that all those closing the gap targets, we're not making much headway on them, they're going worse. So it's understandable that Aboriginal Australians want to get out on the street and argue about this and make people think about it, because we keep talking and seeing very little happen, and it doesn't seem to be registering as a priority. And what got me going is that we didn't see the same sort of level of fury around people protesting restrictions that occurred in Victoria a few weeks ago. We didn't see mass condemnation. In fact, our own Prime Minister said it was people's democratic right to go out and protest against restrictions on the way we were living our lives during COVID. And yet when Aboriginal Australians and Torres Strait Islander Australians want to go out and say, our people are getting incarcerated and not having the lives that we know that they are rightfully expecting to deserve, we didn't have the same sort of fury or we think that that's wrong. I just think that's what's really driving the way in which people are upset about this, and that's before we even go on to the protests that are rightly being levelled about Rio Tinto and the treatment of history of this country that was just blown up. 46,000 years of history that was just blown up the way it was and treated blithely. I think people are right to be upset about this.
I want to talk about another topic that I know